7 deadly sins: greed, lust, envy, pride, gluttony, wrath, and
Joe Nuts. What the heck?
That's kind of weird.
Happy birthday to the ground! I threw the rest of the cake too!
The sin of wrath is best defined as inordinate and uncontrolled feelings of hatred and anger, especially with a desire for vengeance. And my pick for the sin of wrath is the Mongol Empire, who basically made endless conquest their brand. As you probably know, the Mongolians were world renowned for their brutality, especially under their first leader, Genghis Pingus. Like the definition states, wrath is about uncontrolled anger and desperation for vengeance. A good example of this vengeance taken out in the form of anger was the destruction of the Khwarezmian Empire in the 13th century by the Mongol hordes. After the Shah of the empire killed the envoys sent by Genghis Khan before proceeding to have his entire empire completely and utterly eviscerated by the Mongolians. Steady calling my
I done told you before that it's over, leave me alone.
Like, the Mongols really just spawned into this world to make it a little worse for everyone else. And honestly, as a generational talent, when it comes to hating, I can respect that.
Can't even talk more, you should shake the scoreboard more. Am I proud to look like
The sin of greed is best defined as very excessive or rapacious desire and pursuit of material possessions. And I think the best representation of greed is the Carthaginian Empire, a North African maritime trading empire from antiquity. The Carthaginian Empire was quite literally established by the Phoenicians for the express purpose of getting all that bread to the bread. Now you might be asking, but not knowledgeable. I don't get what's wrong with the Carthaginians being a trade-based empire. And to that I say, you're right. However, the Carthaginians' excessive sack-chasing was what ultimately led them to going to war with the younger Roman Republic and getting diddled like my uncle did when I was... The Carthaginians' greed was what actually caused them to get involved in the
Punic Wars,
which was originally fought over the island of Sicily, which they needed for their trade routes and wanted because of its resources. And as you probably know, Carthage's loss in the First Punic War was what led to the ascension of Rome, which the Carthaginians vastly underestimated during the First Punic War, because, well, Rome was...
Bro, y'all niggas is bums. Y'all niggas ain't getting no bread. I'm getting all this bread to the bread.
And this ultimately led to the Roman Republic becoming the dominant power on the Mediterranean, which set the stage for the destruction of Carthage.
Wait, this can't possibly be.
The sin of gluttony is best defined as overindulgence or overconsumption in anything to the point of waste. And my choice for this sin is the British Empire. And I think this is pretty self-explanatory. I mean, they literally conquered a quarter of the Earth's land mass at one point. And I would know. I mean, that's how I ended up on this fucking rock in the middle of the ocean. Man, these plane ticket prices got me fucked up, bro. I mean, take a look at this map. This whole thing is ridiculous. All this just to get some fucking cumin, just to make this garbage taste like 4% better. Nah, I can't even lie. Fish and chips is peak. That's just... All this just for some spice that they don't even use. Guys, I said the funny joke that you've already heard 437 times this day alone. Wow, isn't that so
Every day out of bed at the first crack of dawn, get dressed, breakfast.
The sin of sloth is best defined as inactivity and an absolute aversion to that which one must do. And the best pick here is definitely the Western Roman Empire, which was, well, the western side of the Roman Empire. Or at least after its split by Emperor Diocletian in the late 3rd century. However, it didn't really split off until its own entirely separate and unforgivably shit entity until the death of Theodosius in 395 AD, about a century later, after which the younger of two of his sons, Honorius, came to rule at only age 10, while his older brother Arcadius ruled in the east, which if you know absolutely anything about Roman history, or really any history. Honestly, if you have a higher than ruler length IQ, you know that probably didn't end well. Now, this is all well and good, you might be saying, but what does this have to do with sloth or laziness? Well, dear viewer, Honorius and most of the rest of the Western Roman emperors, who, in fairness, were mostly just puppets to this guy, all had this little thing in common, where they were all absolute dog shit bad at ruling, and this was mostly due to, you guessed it, inaction and preferring to jerk themselves off in their estate rather than actually lead the empire, which in large part is what led to its fall in only 476 AD. And this is in comparison to the East, which only fell like a few hundred years ago, all due to sucky and lazy rulers, except for you, Majorian. Gone but not forgotten. The Western Roman Empire fell in 476 AD, and super male vitality was only invented in 2018. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm just a guy asking questions.
I love you, always, forever, near and far, lucid together, everywhere.
The sin of lust is best defined as an insatiable and sinful desire, usually related to sex. Meh. See, this the shit we not about to do, bro. That shit is way too fucking sexy. For example, if I were to give my subscribers, let's say, absolute disreputable backshot. For example, no sex. Sex bad. Yeah. And my choice for this sin is the Ottoman Empire, although a lot of what would have been considered lustful about the empire at the time is, this.
I'll be dark off, I say low key. I hate when they acting like they know me. Cut your lights off, pay the drink fee.
But the Ottoman Empire also had a sultan's harem as like an official political institution, so you can kind of imagine what that was like. Okay, fuck off. It's kind of hard to call a whole empire lustful, okay?
I scammed a Spanish ass nigga, he was Mexican. I'm finna go to jail, I just ran over a pedestrian. Robbed my little cousin cause I found out he bisexual.
The sin of envy is best defined as jealousy over the blessings of others and a desire to attain the traits or possessions of another. And my choice for the sin of envy is the Roman Republic. So obviously in the greater timeline, the Republic was basically the rising period of Roman civilization, and this was in part due to the Romans' need to outcompete and surpass their rivals on the Mediterranean, which, I mean, that shit worked, bro. Like, come on, there's a reason no one gives a fuck about the damn Numidians. And they did this shit consistently too, like Carthage, the Gauls, the Greeks, not to mention the civil wars that plagued the late Roman Empire due basically to these motherfuckers' inability to just be chill with what they've got. Like Spartacus. The sin of pride is best defined as believing that oneself is essentially superior to others and having an excessive admiration of the personal self, which, I mean, is basically every single nation before like 1980, but my pick for the best representation of pride is...
Wait, it can't possibly be.
Of course, Egypt had all the makings of a normal antiquity country, believing their culture was superior, deifying their leaders, and being absolutely homosexual. But the most obvious sign of the Egyptians' pride is embodied in their most famous artifacts, that being the pyramids. These giant limestone structures are the primary symbol of the Egyptian pharaohs and Egyptian culture at large's pride and power, and the reason for me putting them here.